Your Eminences, esteemed leaders, honorable clergy, guests, and compatriots. When I was a young girl, I used to hear my grandmother, who had survived the Armenian genocide, sing, "Tsayn dur o feda, inchu yes derdum." This song about an Armenian warrior who was called to rise up and defend our nation resonated in my heart and soul. Over time, that song has become louder, like a roar, and a call to action. Today we commemorate 110 years since the Armenian genocide of 1915, the first genocide of the 20th century, the systematic annihilation of 1.5 million souls of the Armenian Christian nation by the Ottoman Turks, a genocide that has never ended and whose tragic arc has come full circle to repeat history once again. In July 2020, Turkish dictator Erdogan ominously declared, "We will finish the mission of our forefathers," and he made good on that promise. One nation, two states, Azerbaijan and Turkey, colluded to continue a century-long genocidal mission, the longest-lasting, unacknowledged genocide of the modern era, breaking the promise of never again, yet again. 150,000 Armenians of Artsakh were forcibly displaced by Azerbaijan from their indigenous lands over 3 years, with Turkey supplying fifth-generation drones and high-tech warfare. Azerbaijan used blockade and starvation as weapons of war. We witnessed live-streamed war crimes, beheadings, torture, mutilation, videos of POWs and civilians paraded by Azeri military, and dictator Aliyev brazenly created a state military trophy museum dehumanizing Armenians. Azerbaijan's racial and religious hate policies on full display resulted in International Court of Justice decisions, but all to no avail. After a lightning military attack by Azerbaijan, the remaining 120,000 Artsakis fled for their lives, while leaders were captured and are still being held hostage for over 550 days, tormented in Baku prisons with sham show trials. National heroes like Ruben Vardanyan are paraded as weapons of despair. So we will give up our existential fight. Artsakh's call for independence and self-determination have been ignored and even sold out by world powers for Azerbaijan's gas and oil diplomacy. The indigenous land of Armenians for over 3,000 years is being rebranded as part of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. Where is the justice? In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. A century later, history has shown us that justice is neither destined nor given. We must bend the arc toward justice ourselves. Bending the arc of destiny for high tide, the Armenian cause requires sustained collective will and power to pull it towards us, to the truth. We must own it in every ounce of our being, align it with every action, or it will slip away. We are the inheritors of a great nation. We are the guardians of our truth and our sacred history, ambassadors of the first Christian Armenian nation, apostles of our faith, Armenia and Artsakh. Our rich cultural heritage and identity is a badge of pride and honor. And so today, we honor the sacred martyrs of the Armenian genocide and Artsakh. However, we cannot simply grieve the past. We must draw from their strength and their example and manifest our destiny as we envision it. And let me also say that the truth of the Armenian genocide is not a partisan issue and cannot be unrecognized. Today's presidential announcement referring to the genocide in euphemisms, meds yeren, does not reflect the gravity of historical truth. We must demand greater accountability and honesty from our government. In 2019, the entire US Congress recognized the Armenian genocide. In 2021, the US president called it accurately a genocide. So while Armenia seeks peace, Azerbaijan is waging a multi-frontal war to cover up and legitimize the Artsakh genocide using caviar diplomacy, gas and oil-fueled propaganda and lies to whitewash, greenwash, sports wash, energy wash, and even interfaith wash their crimes. The insatiable Azeri appetite for Armenian territory and blood has not abated, nor has peace been achieved with Azerbaijan's genocide and ethnic cleansing of Artsakh. We are fighting not only a military occupation, but also an information war. The war from 5 years ago and 7,000 miles away is now on our front doorstep. The battlefield has shifted to 3 arenas. It is in the halls of Congress, in the media news cycle, and in the international courts. Our fight now will be won or lost in how we leverage influence in the corridors of power and decision-making, whether we amplify our voice and become more visible in the media and on the internet, and whether we achieve justice through the international courts. As we speak, sovereign Armenia's territory is being occupied and threatened by Azerbaijan and Turkey, seeking further land concessions like the Zangezur corridor and promoting a false propaganda campaign of so-called Western Azerbaijan that doesn't exist. They even have the audacity to rebrand Artsakh's ancient Christian Armenian monasteries as Albanian. Erasure is happening right now in real time to sever our centuries-long sacred connection to the land, to the Amaras Monastery, the 4th century birthplace of the Armenian alphabet, to Dadivank and Surp Gazanjetots, just like the 10,000 destroyed Khachkars of Julfa, Nakhichevan, just like the ruins of the great cathedral, Ani, in the city of 1,001 churches in Western Armenia, now part of Turkey. The Armenian cause, Haitad, more urgent than ever, calls upon us at this pivotal moment in our history. Khrimian Hayrik warned us about the Tukhte Sherep, the paper ladle, a symbol of our standing in the 1878 World Congress of Berlin. Prophetically, he urged us to embrace Yergate Sherep, the iron ladle. We must collectively heed his warning. If creativity, ingenuity, and resourcefulness are our strength, we must leverage whatever opportunities, resources, and collective power we have in this moment. AI and STEM can allow countries like Armenia to leapfrog technologically and economically and develop defensive advancements to level the playing field with aggressors. We must mine our resources and become a porcupine in foreign policy. We have a 10 million strong diaspora with intellectual and financial resources to power up our country. We have the intellectual power for influence in business, law, politics, medicine, and can force multiply our political influence globally. Governments will come and go, but the Armenian people will remain. Armenia must position itself wisely and align with powers that invest and empower us on the global stage. Other small countries that are surrounded by enemies have been able to do this. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we must be willing to bend the arc ourselves and to take control of our destiny. Let us remember that in the pursuit of accountability and justice, we are not alone. We have the champions of our cause who are here with us today, with the leadership of Senator Adam Schiff, Congressman Brad Sherman, Congresswoman Judy Chu, Congresswoman Laura Friedman, California State Assemblyman John Harabedian, California State Senator Sasha Renee Perez, Assemblymember Jessica Caloza, Assemblymember Nick Schultz, LA City Council member Adri Nazarian, Glendale Mayor Ada Najarian, former State Senator Anthony Portantino, and also in Nevada, Congresswoman Dina Titus, where I'm from, has spearheaded the first ever Azerbaijan Sanctions Review Act to enforce global Magnitsky sanctions against Azerbaijani officials for war crimes and human rights abuses, as well as the Armenian Genocide Education Act. We have much work to do together, and we must ask ourselves, what will you do tomorrow on April 25th? In the spirit of President John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It is not enough to go to a rally once a year, with all due respect, attend a ceremony. We must each commit ourselves. What will you do to bend the arc of justice? If you are a scientist, work on AI for Armenia. If you are a teacher, volunteer to teach in Armenia. If you are a lawyer, seek justice. If you are a doctor, go on a medical mission to help the refugees. If you have wealth, give. If you have nothing, give your time to combat the lies and tell our truth. We are the living truth. So let this 110th commemoration light the flame for unified action. We will not be erased from the pages of our ancient history, not from the cathedrals of Artsakh, not from the inscriptions of the Khachkars of Julfa. We are etched into the stone and earth for eternity, unerasable, unshakable, and unbreakable. Taking the page from the history of our courageous ancestors who never lost their faith and survived. This is a test of endurance, which is inscribed in our DNA. Let us embrace Yergate Shereb to pursue justice and fight for our right of return, for the release of hostages, to preserve and reclaim Artsakh's churches and our heritage, and for the peace and security of Armenia. Let us use our collective strength to bend the arc of justice to empower Armenia, Artsakh, and Artsakh. Long live the Armenian people. Thank you.